But when it goes mainstream, do you think things like regulation, control, and maybe like even government misuse will come into crypto? Like governments using crypto as a control, well, using blockchain as their like tool of control. Like, do you think that's possible? Because once it goes mainstream, right, like there's no going back. Like the SEC
Right.
in the United States is already and has already been talking about regulation and things like that. So what do you think about that? Like, do you see crypto still staying somewhat as it is currently, where it's really just kind of the wild west of the financial world, or do you think it'll just become the same thing, pretty much the same thing as stocks and like
Well,
other investments?
I mean, it's a great question. I think we need to go back to where it all started. I'm gonna go back to Nixon years when USD dollar had something in exchange for it, which was the gold standard, right? When it was lifted, then it's just a piece of paper. Uh, so after that, everything is gone. In at least from my economical philosophical perspective, once the American government took that decision, it's a piece of paper which you can print, however much. Then you get taxed on it as a U.S. citizen. Then the banks are failing you, as we saw in the 2008 crisis, right? The mortgage crisis when Obama was getting elected and all that. I was in college. I remember vividly those days in the States. And then came about Bitcoin. Why? Because, okay, like you print the money, which has nothing, like not a gold standard or anything. You tax us, and then we bail out the banks. Okay, so let's make a decentralized effort to make it more fair. I think it completely makes sense. But now it's becoming too huge, and things like certain things are coming out about where you can get interest on U.S. stablecoins, which is totally higher than what a U.S. bank could give you. So this is a threat against U.S. banks and all that. So the Terra, I'm not endorsing anything, but I have with my ears, I have heard Janet Yellen, who used to be the Fed chair, saying there are certain algorithmic stablecoins which we are afraid of. 2 days later, we saw the whole Terra system collapse. So yeah, the government is definitely coming into play. I don't know how it's going to work. I think regulation we cannot escape. We are seeing Binance, coming to Turkey where we are from. They're opening up offices. They're in France opening offices, etc. So they like the big players in the game are working hand in hand with the government. I'm kind of afraid if this decentralized system will become centralized, but I hope not. But I don't have a clear answer for that. But I hope the technology at least. I'm not hopeful. I'm sure that this technology will affect many parts of our lives, be it gaming, be it money transfer, be it logistics, supply chain and everything. Like using blockchain and Web3 will be very helpful in many sectors, and hopefully it will be free. But for sure, something has changed. Like Nasdaq and S&P, like all these stock indices were moving, for instance, this way. Blockchain was moving, crypto was moving this way. Now they're all parallel. It's all algorithmic trading. So we kind of lost that because it's become mainstream. Like the big players came into play. But at least it's like a leveraged version of Nasdaq, for instance, the crypto, which if you're using it for a financial purpose other than gaming, you can still use it in that way.
The tools that are completely decentralized, still. Maybe they'll do some new ways that we haven't even thought about how to just completely avoid control. So it'll be
Yeah,
really interesting to see, because the technology itself is here. Like, there's no changing that, right? Like, we have the tool in our hands, and it's up to us, up to the people in Web3, up to the developers to just really think of ways to put it to the best use for humanity as we can, basically, like we're trying to do at ERTHA, like Linus is trying to develop the game he always wanted to see, basically, in the world. So yeah, so I think whatever happens, whether governments get involved or how much they get involved, there's still going to be communities and ways and tools for us, those people who want decentralization to just really flourish in this space. I think there's no changing that. There's no stopping that. So what do you think, Linus? Maybe you have some thoughts.
It probably the whole world is going to that, to giving power to the person. It's like going there, and I don't think there's a stop for that. Obviously, it's way better for countries and for governments to have more control over the people, so that they could do whatever they agree on doing. But I think the times are changing, and all the blockchain development, everything that is happening with all the internet, itself. Before, a person had way less influence over anything, and now when we have social networks, when we have internet, when we have blockchain, it more and more power goes to actually the person itself. So I think this trend will continue to be in, and it's inevitable, and there will be, I think, kind of like a war between the people who want to take control and the people and the world where it's going, but in my opinion, it's inevitable that it will go into the way so that the person will decide.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I may be jumping to like a conspiracy theory topic here, but I think it's still interesting to talk about. So like the most recent crypto crash, right? Like, do you think there is a possibility that it was somewhat orchestrated by governments to really the whole cycle of crypto in general, the pump and dump, the bull run and then the huge crash? Like, do you think it's kind of a way to, like, if it were to be manipulated, if it were to be purposefully made like that, do you think that would make people wary of crypto, and that would be a tool for governments to like say that crypto is bad, to regulate crypto, people are losing money, this is a good excuse to regulate because it's unpredictable and things like that, like they've been doing? Like, what do you think about that?
First of all, I think the crypto has a bad reputation, but if you follow the S&P and Nasdaq lines, it's just the same thing, like, because the Fed when the Fed raises the rates, there's more demand for USD, US dollar. So like the dollar will follow safer grounds. So if the interest rates are higher, it's going to get out of the stocks. It's going to get out of crypto even more. As we saw, like trillions of dollars were wiped out. It's going to go to safer places. So I don't think it's a conspiracy, but the media or whoever is controlling the information spread is making a bad reputation out of crypto. And also because it's a leverage version of normal indices, people get hurt more. But if you were going to get into conspiracies, I think what happened to Terra, it is a dangerous system, how it's set up. But I think it was definitely orchestrated by some forces outside of Korea or Singapore, because I heard Janet Yellen with my ears. I was at the office, actually, at Spintop office. We were working on something. She was mentioning, like, there's this algorithmic coin, what are they doing? And then we see 2 days later, the Terra, all the system is going down. I mean, it's like, I mean, I was getting like, what, 20% interest on USD, like stable coin. Like, which bank in the whole world gives me? No bank. Like, if this system were to exist, all the banks would fail, kind of thing. So like, these are, like, between nations, between governments, between systems, between banks, and all these things, that there's certain races going on, because it's a shift, So
Exactly.
I think we will see these things happening in the future too.
Exactly, yeah. And you mentioned the day that Terra Luna crashed. I remember it like it was yesterday. Linus and I were sitting at the office. Like, we got in at around like 9 a.m. I think, something like that, or like 10 a.m. And just from the start of that morning, it was already a bit shaky. Like, I think UST was about like 95, 96 cents maybe. We were talking about it like the day before. And then from about 10 in the morning to like 3 or 4 p.m. It was just the craziest thing I've ever seen, honestly. Like, Luna and UST, like, I had the charts up on the screen next to me, and it was just falling and falling and falling and falling and falling. It was honestly one of the craziest days, maybe the craziest day in crypto I have ever experienced.
Same here.
Yeah, and also I think the day after the like the major UST collapse, USDT also experienced a lot of shakiness. I think it fell like to 97 cents or something like that, or even like 95 cents. I'm honestly not sure, but it fell an insane amount compared to what it was previously been doing. And like, I think it was like also a way for someone could have used that opportunity to just, you know, really make USDT seem unstable and just really make the market panic as much as it possibly can at that moment. And it did. Like, Bitcoin, in that time period, Bitcoin fell to like 16 something thousand, or what was it, like 16, 17,000, I think, like, was the bottom, and Ethereum fell.
Big whales come, and you know, they wipe the floor.
Exactly. Ethereum was like at $850, I think, and well, even now, like, we've been,
remember that.
Yeah, even now it's like at 1.3, you know, and it was 1.8 at one point, like a few months ago. Well, when the merge happened, it was like 1.750 or something like that. So yeah, just these insane market swings, even in bear markets, are just crazy to think about. And like, they're not, you know, just some of them of course are just, you know, natural market movement, but like these, some parts of it just seem so orchestrated that the narrative, if you can, you know, really crack the narrative, if you can really start thinking about what the dynamics of like the government and the people are, I think you can make a lot of money just from like guessing what's gonna happen next with the narrative. So yeah, like, maybe Linus, maybe you can mention like what were your thoughts during like the day of the Luna collapse? Like, what were you thinking?
Oh yeah, it was like, you know, watching an event that you know will become history, that is written, you know, in books, happen in front of you. So it's like, you know, like watching a movie. I think so. That was the feeling, you know, back then. And you know, it's pretty hard for us as people to know whether it's influenced by someone or not. You know, you always can go into certain like let's say into theories that would not be proven or not, you know. But I think that if I would want to control, you know, people, that would be what I would do. Exactly what happened in Terra's ecosystem. So
yeah,
that's probably
it happened.
what happened.
I mean, it didn't help how Doc One handled it either.
True. Yeah, and it's a whole new, another thing about them looking for him. Like, I think they're still looking for him, right? Like, they haven't arrested him.
I heard that he's on the run. He's laying low.
Yeah, and there's like a theory that he could be in North Korea. It's a bit crazy. Like, the crazy things haven't stopped yet. Like, it's still going, and the story is still continuing. Yeah, because he's wanted in like 150 countries now because of like, you know, Interpol and things like that. So yeah,
and there's still like new Luna out, you know, which is kind of doing somewhat good. So
yeah, like a few months ago there was a huge like Luna Classic, or like not Luna Classic, like the new Luna pump. Like, there was just so many crazy market movements, but I
wish the best for ERTHA pump.
Yeah, for sure. Spintop as well, of course.
Same for Spintop.
Yeah.